Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, and at the beginning of the week I had teased that I wanted to make a video talking about my favorite animated Batman movies. However, I decided to do a brief pivot and talk about something that's even closer to my heart, the world of Hanna-Barbera. I was inspired to do this video by another channel called KateCast Reviews. She did a video the other day called Top 5 Hanna-Barbera Shows I'd Like to See Given the Scoob Treatment, and it was just a beautiful walk down memory lane for me. That video will be linked in the description below. I do highly recommend that you check that video out. It is the direct inspiration for this video. I DM'd her on Twitter to see if it's cool if I make this video. I don't want to step on any toes on this platform, and she says yes, go ahead and do it. And so I've cleared it with her. It's all good. And I do highly recommend that you check her video out in the description because it's awesome. When I was growing up, my favorite thing, or one of my favorite things, was the animation of Hanna-Barbera. That's why I'm a fan of animation today. While I love Pixar and even now Studio Ghibli, and while I love Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry and just on and on, all that stuff related to animation, if it were a tree, the trunk, or the nucleus, if you will, would be the world of Hanna-Barbera. Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, Quick Draw McGraw, and so on and so forth. And with Scoob recently coming to theaters after the whole debacle of it last year, and thanks to KateCast's video, I thought to myself, I'd like to do a video talking about 5 Hanna-Barbera shows that I'd like to see be made into movies. And so I decided to make a list, and here is my list. Now, please keep in mind that the ranking of this list is not meant to be taken all that seriously. 5 is not like the least excited for, and 1 is the most excited for. I took a look at pretty much everything Hanna-Barbera ever created, or at least all of their shows, and I decided to myself, these are the 5 that I think would make excellent movies. Just a brief spoiler alert, there will be some overrun with Kate's list. I didn't plan it out that way. It just so happens that when I picked a couple of ones that I put on my list, they were already on hers. It wasn't planned that way, it just happened. Also, one more caveat. I will not be including stuff like the Flintstones, the Jetsons, or Scooby-Doo because, well, they've already gotten several adaptations. So I'm trying to diversify and focus on stuff that hasn't gotten too much attention. So, with all the grandstanding and hot dogging out of the way, here are my top 5 Hanna-Barbera shows I'd like to see turned into movies. Number 5. The Impossibles. This show was often teamed up with Frankenstein Jr., a show about a father and son duo creating a gigantic monster called Frankenstein Jr. Yes, that actually happened, and it is awesome. But I'm focusing on The Impossibles here, and the basic premise of The Impossibles is that this boy band called, well, The Impossibles, are secretly superheroes. Coil Man, Multi-Man, and Fluid Man. And yes, their powers are pretty much self-explanatory. But when they're not singing in the band, they're stopping crime. And I think that this premise would just make for a really fun movie. Now, in this show, this band was meant to look a lot like the Beatles. Like, it's honestly kind of scary looking. So maybe a more modern take is in order. Make it like a NSYNC or New Kids on the Block style boy band. But I think it would be a lot of fun if they included something related to the Impossibles. And with superhero movies being in still a relative boom period, I think it's a pretty easy sell. Number 4. Top Cat. This is the first of my overrun with Kate's list, and I didn't intend for Top Cat to be on the list. I just saw it and I said to myself, you know what? Top Cat's awesome and would make a great movie, so it's going on the list. It would have been on the list regardless if she had it on. That's what I'm trying to say. But the basic premise of that show is that, well, it's about a cat named Top Cat. Everybody calls him TC, according to the theme song, which is also awesome. And he's joined by his group of friends, including Fancy Fancy, Spook, Benny the Ball, Brain, and Choo Choo. I love those names so much. And they see themselves get into pretty much endless, get-rich-quick schemes only to fail miserably, and they are perpetually chased by Officer Dibble, who apparently has no better things to do as a cop in New York. Now, there have been some movies made of this before, and from what I was able to look up, they were not received all that well, so I think this begs to be remade again. I think if they were to capture the camaraderie between the gang and the personalities of each member, I think it would just be like a magic combination. Just please, for the love of everything, don't make it live action. Just please don't. Number 3, Space Ghost. Oh, wait. No, I'm not saying it right. Space Ghost! This was one of my favorites when I was in my prime Hanna-Barbera watching phase. And honestly, I'm shocked that this has not been made into any type of movie, just ever. I mean, the premise is pretty simple. It's about a hero named Space Ghost, who can turn invisible, can fly, and has an invisible space jet. That just prints money right there. It also adds to the marketability, I suppose, is that Space Ghost, you could do a lot with him. You can add in the Galaxy Trio, you can add in the Herculoids, you can even add Birdman in there. No, not that Birdman. No, not that one either, though that would actually be quite interesting. No, I'm talking about this Birdman. Birdman! Still, as seeing as though we're in a bit of a superhero craze, I think a Space Ghost movie would just be awesome. And, I mean, it's not exactly like Space Ghost is super irrelevant. He was in an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold. Number 2, Jonny Quest. Again, similar to Space Ghost, I am floored that this has not been made into a movie or a TV show or something, because this premise is just so begs to be made into a movie of some kind. It's about the Quest family, father Dr. Benton C. Quest, son Johnny, and Dr. Quest's assistant, Race Bannon, badass. And also Johnny's friend, who also lives with them, Haji. And they all go around on globe-trotting adventures, stopping supervillains and including their most regular villain, the nefarious Dr. Zinn. Now, this is definitely a premise that should be made into at least another series. Now, to be fair, there was a series in the late 90s called The Real Adventures of Jonny Quest that was a bit of a remake, but it's hard to tell. And I actually watched that for the first time last year because of the virus, and I couldn't really go anywhere, so I thought to myself, why not? And I liked the show fine, but wow, the CGI is just bad. But if you were to take some of those modern concepts like Quest World and take the old school sensibilities of the original and throw it together, I mean, the movie writes itself. Jonny Quest was another one of my favorites, and so I hope it gets a movie made eventually. And the number 1 Hanna-Barbera show that I think should be turned into a movie is The Wacky Races. Now, technically speaking, this show had been remade in 2017, and I have not seen that. And technically, there already is a bit of a Wacky Races movie made back in the early 60s called The Great Race, which starred Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon. Yes, that is the duo from Some Like It Hot. But I love the original Wacky Races. It's my favorite Hanna-Barbera property ever. And just due to all of the colorful characters that this show has, it would just make for a perfect movie. And the characters really are just incredibly memorable as well. You have Dick Dastardly and Muttley, you have Penelope Pitstop, you have Peter Perfect, you have the Gruesome Twosome, you have Rufus Roughcut, and I could just go on and on and on. I mean, on another note, how is Rufus Roughcut able to drive with saw wheels? But nevertheless, this show is just so much fun. It's, well, wacky, for lack of a better term. Every driver has their own unique power-ups and their own unique gags, like how Dick Dastardly tries to sabotage everyone but ends up sabotaging himself and never finishing. Peter Perfect's car always just falling apart and just him having the greatest reactions to it. Oh, for sure! I just washed and polished this thing. The Anthill Mob and their special power being getaway power, which is just basically everyone except for Muggsy breaking out the floor in their car and just running their car faster. I mean, the show's awesome, you guys. Just for the colorful characters, the wacky power-ups, and just the generally fun atmosphere as a whole, the Wacky Races is my #1 pick for a Hanna-Barbera show I'd like to see turn into a movie. And honestly, I could talk about Hanna-Barbera for days. Like, William Hanna and Joseph Barbera need, like, some kind of special recognition because they were true geniuses in their field. And I feel like nowadays, with the exception of, like, Flintstones and Scooby-Doo, they're almost never talked about. And I'm not trying to dig Flintstones, or I'm not trying to bury Flintstones. I love Flintstones as well. I love Scooby-Doo. But the world of Hanna-Barbera is so vast and out there that, well, a cinematic universe would just be perfect. And technically, the universe already exists. If you watch a lot of the old shorts, then you'll notice that a lot of the characters like either reference each other and even cross over on some occasions. There have been crossovers made, like when the Flintstones and the Jetsons switched places. There's the Laugh Olympics, where all of the villains of Hanna-Barbera teamed up against a team led by Yogi Bear and a team by Huckleberry Hound. And I mean, it's just an ocean of possibilities. I don't want any of these characters to become obscure, and so that's part of the reason why I wanted to make this video, because just to bring attention to characters who I have grown up with and know like the back of my hand and are paramount to me and my childhood. But that is all from me, guys. Thank you so much as always for watching. Thank you so much to Kate for giving me the permission to make a video in the same or the similar vein as hers. Please go check out her video, linked in the description. It's fantastic. And this coming Sunday will be yet another I Finally Watched in my I Finally Watched series. And continuing with the Studio Ghibli theme, I'm going to be watching for the first time My Neighbors, the Yamadas. But if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. That way when a new video drops, you'll be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam. I'll see you in the next one.